Hey guys, welcome to day 6. And before we move on back to psychological, I want you to focus on a training. So on this day 6, and would have been a Saturday if you started at the beginning of the month, in each one of those, I'm going to give you a simple training, something that you can do with yourself in order to be able to get trained on how to better prepare yourself for a disaster with that wonderful disaster backpack that you're going to be creating. What I want you to think about is how you would evacuate your house. And I want you to think about 2 different ways of doing that. So 2 totally different exits. So if you live in your house, I want you to think about the 2 ways that you would evacuate out of your house, either through the backyard or through a front door or whatever. And that might be a little easy for you because you might think, okay, easy, front door, back door. But while you're thinking about it, think about maybe of a couple of different ways as well. So maybe you have a side door. Maybe you would go out of a window. If you have a second story on your house, I want you to think about 2 ways you would evacuate out of your second story as well. So if you're in a 2-story house, I want you to think about if you were on the ground floor, 2 ways out, and then if you were on the second floor, 2 ways out without using the stairs. 2 ways without using the stairs. So I want you to think about how you would evacuate your house. Now, if you're in an apartment complex or you live in a condominium complex and you're like, I live in a really small apartment, or maybe I'm in a high rise, you still need to think about 2 ways you would get out of your apartment. So not just the front door. If you had to go out of a sliding door, and then if there's some other way out, you need to look at the emergency exits. I just want you to make sure that there's always 2 ways to get out of everywhere you go. No matter where I go, whether I'm in a hotel, whether I'm at an amusement park, whether I'm out at a convention or I'm out at a concert, whatever, I always know 2 ways to evacuate. This is the reason, for example, I never take elevators. I literally never take elevators. Not one time, not ever. I don't take them because many times they are sealed and there's no way to get out of an elevator. So I always take the stairs. And before you ask, yes, even in tall buildings, I take the stairs. So anywhere you're going, so in this case, I just want you to focus on your house today. Think about 2 ways you would evacuate out of your house. Then I want you to think about 2 places you would shelter in place. So if you had to stay in your house where something was going on outside, what would be a reasonably protected place in your home? It doesn't have to be protected by a perfect metallic shell, or it doesn't have to be underneath your kitchen sink or anything. I want you to find a place in your house, not near a window, where you can stay and protect yourself if there's a lightning storm, if there's something going on outside, and it will protect you from the outside elements. If you have an interior room, great. If you have an interior bathroom, fantastic. I actually have a video on here where I went to Joplin, Missouri, and I actually found a number of different great sheltering in place locations, and one of them was actually in the crawl space of this house, and you can actually check it out, how I was able to get in there and how I was able to protect myself from a major storm that was going on outside. It was a really terrific experience, very eye-opening, but it was a wonderful location to shelter in place. Lastly, I want you to think of 2 locations where you would lock down if you had to lock down in your house. So a bathroom, somewhere away from windows, somewhere where you can lock the doors, somewhere where you can stuff towels at the bottom of the door, someplace that is totally sequestered from the outside. The obvious location is an interior bathroom. That's great. Make sure that it is someplace that you can remain totally sequestered and where you can very comfortably use your backpack. There's no point in finding a place that you simply can't pull the backpack out. So think of a couple locations where if you had to lock yourself down, so if there was a chemical spill outside, I want you to think of 2 places in your house where you could easily secure yourself inside and entirely sequester yourself from the outside. That's the training I want you to do today. And if you follow what I've asked you to do, you've been able to do it already. You've been able to accomplish it. So congratulations. That's the easy training. And I'm asking you to do that because every single place you go, I want you to train yourself. Now I want you to do it again, but think about it at work, or think about it at school, or think about it at a friend's house that you go to every single Sunday. Somewhere you go all the time, make sure that you can evacuate, shelter in place, and lockdown, and that you have alternates. You have 2 ways of evacuating, 2 places to shelter in place, and 2 places to lock down. So close your eyes after this video is done and think about how you would do that no matter where you are, because that is going to put you in the best place to be able to ESIPL no matter what disaster you are facing. This is Disaster Patrick, and remember, prepare for a disaster and you'll never experience one.